For most people, March 2nd, 1985 is a date of little significance or importance. But for members of the 1985 men's hockey team, and for the 2,600 plus fans in attendance at the old Charlottetown Forum on that Saturday afternoon, it's a day that's firmly entrenched in their memory. Why, I'm sure there's even some fans who could remember exactly where they were sitting and who they watched the game with. And on the 40th anniversary of that historic game, it's my pleasure to sit down with the protagonist of that masterpiece, who, because of his overtime heroics, cemented his place in the history of sports here at UPEI and indeed across the island. Please welcome, from New Annan PEI, Bobby MacDonald. Well, Bob, on this 40th occasion, I figured I had to bring out the old championship jacket from 1984-85. This would have been our ring back in the day, buddy.
Yes,
we didn't get the rings, but we got this lovely little jacket as a little memento. Good to have.
And you still have it.
And I still have it. I don't wear it much so anymore, buddy.
Right on.
Anyway, good to have you on, Bob.
Yeah, it's good to be here, Norman. Thanks for having me on.
So, Bob, I mentioned you came from a big family in New Annan. And for those who may not know where New Annan is, if you think of the Cavendish Farms French fry plant just outside of Kensington, that's New Annan.
We were in behind that, in the lower road.
Oh, you're in behind that. The original one or the new one? Kind of like the big one? Or
the original one, in behind the original one.
Yeah, right. So, Bob, you would have been, what was life, the sporting life back then? I know you played a lot of sports when you were growing up and through the high school system of sports. And what was it like back then when you think about it? And maybe some of the coaches you might have had, maybe that you could sort of help kind of guide you along in your sport.
Yeah, I played a lot of different sports. I played a lot of fastball and a lot of soccer and a lot of hockey. Kensington was my main spot where I played out of. And, so my brother was a minor hockey director. So Jerry, my oldest brother. I have 6 boys and 6 girls in our family, so it was always.
And where did you fit in?
I'm the baby.
You're the baby.
Yeah. No, Kensington was a good community to grow up in the sports. It wasn't too big, wasn't too small, but they fit in kind of somewhat competitive, you know what I mean?
Did you do that Kensington-Bedford exchange? Were you part of that?
Yes, I was part of that, yeah. And my son was also part of that not too long ago. So
cool. Is it still going?
It's still going. I just had it last weekend.
What? Year 50,
60? Something. I think it might be 51 or 2.
Wow.
Or something like that.
And Jerry's still involved?
No, he's been on it for a while. He married a Miss Bedford years
That's
ago.
Right. That's right.
He's still involved somewhat.
Yeah, good. You were also a broom ball player, weren't you, back in the day?
Oh, yes, with the Newton Selects back in the day. Yeah.
I always remember back when the hockey season was over, we used to have we'd go out to the rink, we'd have the old broom ball tournament, remember?
Yes.
And everyone wanted all the King Cora boys, the Kensington boys in the team, because you guys were the studs.
Yeah, we had a good team, and Newton broom ball was pretty big back then.
Yes, it was.
My sisters played it, and because I never see a broom ball.
I don't think it exists. No?
CFB, the base, had a good team, I remember.
Okay, cool. Did you play in that high school team with Reeder remember Reeder had like 84 saves in the game or something like that? Did you play in that game?
No, I didn't play. I was, the next year I came.
Peter playing in that team?
Peter, no, he played with the Kingsman Midgets.
He was with the Midgets.
Couldn't play both.
Right, okay, good. So you came, Bob, when you came to UPEI, you were a two-sport athlete, right?
Yeah.
You started out, but did that, if I remember correctly, you didn't play the full 4 years, soccer and hockey?
No, I can't remember. I was asking Peter there before I came down here, but I either played 2.5 or 1.5, but I can't remember exactly what it was. But I think Vince was coaching, he was coaching both.
Yeah.
And we decided that maybe we'll concentrate on hockey.
Yeah, I think Trevor played. Trevor Crawford played the whole time.
He played the whole time.
Peter, maybe the same amount of time as you?
Peter played the full gamut, I think, as well. No, I was more of the PEI kick and run. They started bringing in tic-tac-toe players.
You were kind of a straight line guy.
No, but I enjoyed it. It was tough to do, obviously,
Yeah, sure.
but anyways, that's the way it goes.
Yeah. I ran into I was chatting with one of your old soccer buddies, John McRae, who's moved home here recently. And he said, one of the best parts about living in PEI again is he gets to take money from you on a regular basis in your Texas Hold'em game.
Yes.
Any truth to that or what?
Well, there's truth to the Texas Hold'em, but him taking money is maybe no, we play a game when I'm home. I work for the Coast Guard and I'm gone a month at a time.
Yeah.
So when I'm home, I do play a weekly game in Texas Hold'em.
Okay. So the record has been set straight.
Yeah.
All right.
But the record really is that I put John out quite a few times.
So Bob, when you came, back in the day, it would have been, most players would have came from Island Junior Hockey League, maybe Maritime Junior Leagues, sprinkling of OHL players, Q players, maybe the odd pro, like the would have come back after playing some time in pro. You think of Francois Bissett, Dave Mancuso, guys like that. But you were a bit of an oddity in that you came from the PEI high school system, which, you know, not a lot of players came from back then. Dave Cameron did it quite successfully back in the mid-'70s, and then you came along in the early '80s. What was that adjustment like for you?
Well, it was a more of adjustment than I kind of realized. I know my first year, it was moving the puck was a big thing. You know, holding on to it too long. And you certainly found out the hard way. I kept holding on to the puck too long, and it was an adjustment, but we had a good coach. Jack Hines took me under his wing there a bit.
And he had Dave.
And he had Dave, and Dave was kind of somewhat of the reason why I came here.
Sure, yeah.
I kind of found, I knew there was connection somewhere, and
Yeah.
if you're any good at all, you'll make it, no matter where you're at. So
exactly. Yeah. If you think about, you talked earlier about, Vinny coaching in soccer and Vinny coaching in hockey. I don't think we could really have a conversation out here without talking about Vinny, right? In terms of what he meant to maybe you as a person, as a student athlete, maybe what he meant to the UPEI hockey program in general.
Well, for me in general, I took a liking to Vinny because, I think he was true and honest and simple and plain and told you how it was, and I had lots of conversations in his office, and he was I think he was very good. He was very good to glue the team together and make sure everybody was getting along, and I think chemistry is, as well as I know, is the key ingredient in championships.
For sure. And, if you think about that, Bob, back when, you were here 5 years? Your fifth year, I think you played a part of the year, maybe?
Fifth year, I went over to Halifax. I was thinking of taking the social work program, so I enrolled in Dalhousie.
Right.
I took a few courses, but I didn't stick with it, and I came to UPEI after Christmas.
Right. What do you think back when you think back about life? You're Blanchard Hall. You were Blanchard Hall all the time?
I was a resident boy for my whole life.
The whole time?
It was lots of extracurricular activities along with the sports and the academics. It was a tough game, to fit all the pieces in.
Yeah. Good stuff. So, Bob, I want to kind of move ahead to the 84-85 season, because that's, we're looking at the 40th anniversary of that, and of course that was a big year. You go through the regular season. We were number 1 ranked. We were undefeated in the first half of the year. Lost in the latter part of the year. I think Dalhousie, broke our winning streak later on, if I remember correctly, close to the end of the year. But if you and I had to kick at the can in the finals in 1982 when we lost to UDM your first year. We lost to them again in 1980, the year before, in 84 in the semifinals, a series that probably didn't stick too well with many of us. But when we get into that final series in 84-85, what were you what do you recall about the series in general, and maybe what we were facing, and maybe some of the things that we were going through?
Yeah, if I can recollect, well, like you said, Moncton was such a powerhouse. They've been in winning the nationals, and we had to get by Moncton. So anyway, this being wasn't sure on my next year what I was up to in the sense of hockey or school. So I figured this was our last kick at the can, and it was quite exciting. I can remember the afternoon game, the buzz around the city. It was. I certainly didn't want to go back to Moncton.
Well, I think Game 3 would have been in Charlottetown.
Oh, it would have been in Charlottetown.
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't want to play games.
Yeah, but
No, it was quite exciting, Norman. And but what I remember going to the rink early that day, and the buzz around the city. I remember that more than anything. And the rink started to fill up. Smoke started to accumulate.
of course, that was back in the day when everyone would line up.
Yes.
Prior to the game, so we would have been walking into the rink. There would have been
The lineup was
300-400 people probably
Exactly,
sitting
yeah.
outside, right?
Yeah, it was quite exciting. I remember.
Yeah. What do you recall about the goal? You scored the overtime goal. Like we went into overtime. We get on the power play, and you, of course, scored the goal, which has lived on.
Yeah.
For 40
Still
years.
milking it.
What do you remember about it? Like when you think back about it.
I don't, exactly remember everything that way, but kind of looking at it and over the years, the odd time seeing it. Well, I kind of remember, power play, you know what that's like, and this is our chance. We had a lot of chances that game,
Oh, jeez.
and it was kind of reminds me of them games, and all of a sudden, the game's over and you lost. But I remember getting on there and thinking, geez, this is the opportunity. It'd be nice to make the best of this power play.
Yeah.
And, I just remember going to the net and hoping the thing will squirt out.
It wasn't a Rembrandt, was it?
No, it wasn't Rembrandt, but
Hey, it doesn't matter.
yeah, it wouldn't make a difference who scored it.
Exactly.
You're just excited. So
And of course, we couldn't forget. I mean, we're not there. If Tony Halliday doesn't make that save.
Oh, really?
Close Bill Grant too. Right?
well, that was certainly the turning point of the game. It would have been over obviously probably, but not only Tony but our back end. We got phenomenal defense.
McCutcheon, Moffat, Skilleter, Fulton.
Yeah.
Probably an anchor in that defense for Mel Strady, John Pocock as well too.
Tough man.
Jeff was a few years before.
That's before.
He was on his way to being a judge.
Yeah.
But then we go on after. But do people still ask you about the goal? Like, does someone ever get any chatter like these days?
Oh, yeah, at time. I'm at the rink, a little bit now with my boys, and I'll run into, a few people
Who recall?
who we call it.
Yeah.
And, nothing serious, but there's always a chatter about it.
I do remember. And actually, then we went on, a series against Ottawa. I would say a series, Bob, I think we should have won.
I think so too.
I think, when we went up, I think we all played Ottawa. But you were talking earlier, but sometimes you just don't get the results you're looking for. And I think that was one of those series.
One of those two. And it was I think for us more so probably for them, it was quite a thing for us to win that. It was quite a drought and then immediately go to Ottawa. It was, you know what I mean?
Do you think we were still kind of stuck on the high?
I think maybe, I think it's kind of a natural thing to come, to get high like that, and then, hard to get back into the grind.
Yeah.
But like you said, but I do think we easily could have come out of there on top.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
And then we would have advanced. Of course, the format was different back then. You had to ring regionally, and then you went to the Final Four in Toronto. And if we had won that series, we would have gone on to Toronto as well.
I can't remember who won that year.
I think it was York University, actually, who won. I think they ended up winning that year. So. Anyway, what might have been.
What might have been.
What might have been. So, Bob, you look now. You're working with the the Coast Guard, you're month on, month off. Is that how you work?
Yeah, 28 days on, 28 days off.
And where's your mission at going these days? You just kind of go wherever.
We usually just patrol the Atlantic waters, you know, somewhere in between. We're on call at all times for search and rescue. There are other little duties that we do as well.
And you talked about your kids. You got some kids playing hockey, Matthew and Cameron. Or
Yeah.
Cameron kind of had a little bit of an introduction and then a bit of a return. What
Yes.
are they doing hockey-wise?
Cameron, my youngest, he played last night. He actually scored a goal. But he started playing again. He never played since novice. He wasn't all that interested in it, but he decided he'd try it again this year. So he's playing the midget A team out of Moncton.
Cool.
And my oldest boy is playing junior A, the Maritime Junior A League.
Who's he with?
That was picked up. No impressions.
How's he liking that?
He seems to enjoy it, and they got a pretty good team there. So
Pretty good program.
it's a pretty good program. Better than you know. Than I never really followed junior because I never played it, and I never. But now that he's playing, I'm pretty impressed with some of the games.
Yeah. So Bob, one of the things I know you've had some battles with addiction, but I guess the good news is that you've come out of it, and maybe can you just show us how you doing? Like I think it's a good news story for sure.
Yeah, no, good. It's been almost 10 years since I had a drink, and I think it's the right choice for me. You know what I mean? I had my share, and I don't regret any of it. Had a lot of good times, but I think the way how the bottle works, sometimes you can get the best of yourself.
Sure.
Anyway, I think I made the right decision, and things are great. I get 2 lovely boys, a beautiful wife. Everything's good.
Good stuff. Well, Bob, I love to hear that. I'm glad you're doing well. Thanks for providing, I guess for me, I mean, you were talking earlier, but you didn't know what your future was. That was my last game as UPEI Panther.
Yeah.
And and
Dave Reed too.
And Dave Reed too.
Dave, he was such a glue guy for our team.
Yeah, we could go on, but Reed.
On and on and on. And we did have a lot of glue guys on our team. Really good chemistry. And that was a lot of the reason.
Yeah, but I guess I'm forever grateful for you scoring that goal, buddy. And
don't forget your goal there, Norman. I'm pretty big too.
Oh well, yeah, right. If we didn't, I tied her up, so that's okay too. Okay, I'll get the assist to you for doing it. Anyway, but listen, I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad you came on. I'm glad we had the opportunity to reflect on this. And
glad to be here.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, Norman. Thanks.
Fonction officielle. Depuis qu'il a remplacé M. Gouaron au poste de lieutenant-gouverneur de la province. Et là, c'est Doug Curry qui est transporté à bout de bras par les joueurs des Panthers. Greg Gravel qui est complètement sous son capitaine. Et bien entendu, les Panthers qui